Call to order, roll call.
Craig,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Dylan,
Yes.
Dina.
Yes.
Appoint President Pro Team Temp. Anyone wanna make a motion for that?
I make a motion to nominate Kathy Meyer as temporary chair.
I'll second.
Properly by Joe, seconded by Dana to appoint Kathy Meyer as temporary board chair. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, as temporary chair, I call for nominations for the president of the Easton Valley School Board.
I nominate Joe Kilbert.
Oh, I'll second that.
I nominate Craig Tynes.
I'll second.
Motion to end nominations?
Are there any other nominations? So
Second.
whether nominations are closed, we will now do ballots.
Here you go.
Craig, you are the new president. The new president will take over the meeting.
Is there any nomination for vice president?
I nominate Joe Kilbert.
I'll second.
And properly nominated by Dylan and seconded by, what was it?
Jody.
Jody. Is there any discussion? Is there any more nominations? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Oh, Walsh is nominated.
What?
No, nominate Jody.
Is there a second?
I'll second
And properly moved by Walt, seconded by Chris to nominate Jody. Any more nominations? Okay, proceed to vote.
Jody's vice president.
Oath of office.
President, vice president, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of Board of Directors of President and Vice President in Easton Valley School District as now and hereafter required by law?
I will.
Yes. Determine dates, times, locations for regular board meeting.
So, recommend we continue with the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. for our regularly scheduled meetings. Continue circulating between Miles and Preston as we've been doing.
I make a motion to maintain the meeting schedule that we currently.
I'll second
Been properly moved by Jody, second by Chris to keep the current schedule that we're on for dates and times and rotate between Preston and Miles at 6 p.m. on third Wednesday of every month. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Appoint board treasurer.
Recommendation, appoint Adam Critter.
Make a motion to appoint Adam Critter as our board treasurer.
Been properly moved by Dylan, second by Walt to appoint Adam Krieger as our board treasurer. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Appoint board secretary.
I make a motion to appoint Kathy Meyer as board secretary.
Second.
Been properly moved by Jody, second by Dylan to appoint Kathy Meyer as board secretary. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Appoint regular legal counsel.
Recommend that we continue with Landon Waterman at this time.
I'll make a motion to continue with Lane and Waterman.
I'll second.
Been properly moved by Chris, second by Dana to continue with Richard Davidson from Lane and Waterman for legal counsel. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Consider approval of disappointed bank resolution.
I'll make a motion to use Macocota State Bank and Clinton National Bank for our banking needs.
Second.
Been properly moved by Jody, second by Dylan to approve MSB and Clinton National Bank for our banking needs. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Name official publications for Easton Valley School District.
I'll make a motion to have Preston Times and Macocota Sentinel, Macocata Sentinel as our, publication.
Second.
Publication.
Properly been moved by Jody and seconded by Dylan to approve the Preston Times and Macocata Sentinel as our official publications. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Properly moved by Dana and seconded by Chris to adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Call to order regular board meeting. Roll call.
Craig,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Dylan,
Yes.
Dana.
Yes.
Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to consent agenda.
Second.
Been properly moved by Joe, seconded by Dylan to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Personnel.
Personnel, I'll explain briefly. We have a few individuals that are just going to be serving in some different positions. So Doris Rowan, who's come back to step in and meet our needs in our kitchen, came back after winter break and just said that it's been a very good experience and wants to continue in that role under a contract and would like to remain on for the foreseeable future. So we're thrilled to have her back, and we're just as thrilled to have her wanting to stick around with us. She's just an asset to our schools and tons of expertise, so excited to recommend her for a contract position for our head cook in our kitchen. And then Donna Jurgens. Donna's been serving in some different roles for us. She kind of took on a hybrid role recently and expressed interest in moving to the kitchen for her full role. And we were able to hire a new paraeducator that is kind of backfilling the position that she's leaving. So those are the recommendations for new personnel. The last thing I wanted to talk about tonight, I was hoping that we could bring you an actual name to fill a bus aide position. But that is something that is posted and we will be seeking contingent upon board approval. I've invited Amber here tonight and I'll let her share any additional information just relevant to this piece here, but a bus aide is something that we're looking for. Currently, we're seeking 2 of them, particularly for 2 specific routes where we just generally have some more behavioral issues on the buses. We are most interested in having someone serve as a bus aide for the PM route. The morning routes are relatively calmer and quieter, but kids getting out of school, people are a little more rambunctious. And what ends up happening is situations are arising that we could easily avoid. They're consuming a significant amount of staff resources, whether it's Amber and her role as transportation director, and we need to pull video and report things to teachers and conversations with parents and meetings and a lot of things that could be avoided if we invest a little bit more on the proactive side, the preventative side of things. The reality is that we have policy in our handbooks here in both buildings that teachers are not allowed to leave children unsupervised in a room. And essentially what we're doing on our school buses is we have a driver who's there as a trusted adult, but their primary focus is on driving, and their eyes need to be on the road. They need to be looking out for the safety of the kids that they're transporting. And when kids are misbehaving, there's that potential to disrupt and distract the driver, and the driver can't commit the attention that they need to have their eyes on the kids at all times, to respond to little things that are happening. And so what we see happening is little things like poking, pinching, joking, teasing, escalate. And what could be solved with just an adult that had the availability to say, hey, we're not gonna use that language, or hey, I want you to move over, you're not gonna sit by that student right now, or hey, keep your hands to yourself. It escalates, and these little minor incidents then turn on to hands-on, and then kids are wrestling, and then somebody could get hurt, and what we end up doing is spending a lot of time, not only in our transportation department, but then those things spill over to school. They distract and disrupt learning, even if it's an afternoon thing. Then kids are getting pulled to talk about behavioral things the next day. They're being taken out of class. So it's just creating a lot of turmoil. And through some conversations, we've talked about a number of different approaches that we can take. These conversations started with Amber and then also with our principals to say, hey, how can we, whose responsibility is it to handle it? And essentially what it came down to is all of our staff are spending too much time. Our counselors, our classroom teachers, transportation director, principals, from situations that could be avoided on the school bus. And so what I'm recommending to you tonight is approving the possibility of adding up to 2 bus aides that would ride in the afternoon. It would be $12 an hour. We would pay them just as we pay our bus drivers in a 2-hour increment for riding that route. And it would be something a student as young as 16, a trusted student could easily take on this role. We'd get them something to identify themselves as the bus aide. We train them, and we would work with them on their role and responsibilities. They'd report to the driver on the bus, any major incidents or anything like that. But we just saw it as a small investment to make that would result in a substantial reduction of some of the issues that are taken away from the primary work we need to do.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah.
What's wrong with just reprimanding the kids? I mean, a verbal warning, and if I gotta tell you twice, you're off the bus for a week.
Yep.
Instead of having to spend the money to hire an aide.
You want to sit down?
No.
Just
I
gonna
was
stay?
pushing my leg, so no.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll let Amber respond.
Just, and then is that part of the transportation? That's number 6.
Number 5.
It will get into that,
5.
but if we're voting on this now.
Well, we don't have to vote on this now because you don't have a name.
I
We have a
want to
special
vote on
meeting to
the,
do that.
We need to make a motion on personnel, Chris.
yes. And
We can
as
approve
part of
personnel and then not part of it, and then come back with a special meeting. Or we can approve it as that, but however the board wants to do it.
Yep, and so what I'm asking for now is permission to seek to hire that position. If you tell us tonight, we're not gonna fill that position, then we're gonna take down our postings, we're gonna discontinue the effort to hire something that wouldn't be supported.
So we have had aides in the past,
I had one on my bus when I started.
I think they were able to modify the students' behaviors, and then we went forward and have them, once the kids got older, that were, I mean, I don't see a problem with having it, I don't know about a 16-year-old, but maybe, I mean.
Very responsible.
As long as they're interviewed.
Yes.
I don't know, my opinion, I mean, if they,
Where's the responsibility for the parents though?
Responsibility for the parents is still there. The situation that we have is I have 2 bus routes and the buses are completely packed. You have, every seat, half the bus is 3 elementary kids to a seat. There's some severe situations happening where I'm having to kick the kids off the bus and call the parents, and the parents are involved and they're not happy with that. So in retrospect to those behaviors and those things that are happening, and I work with Austin and I work with Brandon on those situations and the counselors, and we do stuff in school, we get a bus buddy. Those things aren't stopping the behavior. So I feel that if we have somebody on the bus right then and there that is able to walk between the seats and be seen and heard by the students, and they know that that person is there, then their behaviors are going to be able to be nipped in the butt before we have to get to the steps of kicking them off the bus. And also hurting the other kids either mentally or physically. We've had some, and it's the smaller kids that I've been seeing the most behaviors with.
I guess I get it if the parents don't like it, but it's an inconvenience for us to have to deal with it. I mean, it's, to me, riding the bus, I mean, it's not a requirement. I mean, it's a service we provide. So if the kids can't behave on the bus, it should fall on the parents' shoulders, and it should stop being our responsibility to reprimand the problem. I mean, I'd rather see them get kicked off the bus and make it the parents' problem, and maybe they correct it so we don't have to hire somebody to do the same thing.
And I've been doing that. I've been following the handbook, and depending on the level of what the behavior is, using the handbook as a guide, that's how I've been handling it. I have bus conduct forms that we fill out that is mailed to the parents. Also, I follow up with a phone call or a meeting. If they wanna watch the video, I pull the video and watch. It was something that I thought would be proactive into stopping some of the bullying and some of the things that are happening to the kids on the bus.
It really is a safety issue. I mean, overall, of course, it's a safety
Yes.
issue, but your driver cannot take the time to do that. They need to
And
be
they can't
focusing.
see everything, and honestly, when I pull the video, I can't see everything either on my cameras. So for expecting a driver who's driving on the roads with a completely full bus, it is very difficult, and it is distracting when you have several kids. And I've been on the buses, and I've had several conversations with the children on how to follow bus rules. And I don't even go over the whole list. I go over the first 5 that I think are important. Sit down, be quiet, keep your hands to yourself, be kind. That's only 4, but basically those are the rules that when I drove every day, that's what I told my kids. And we're a family. If emergency happens, you have to be quiet and listen. So for instance, I drove route last Friday for a Pat's bus. Before we even left here, I had to tell those children to be quiet 5 times. And finally I just said, we're not leaving until I can hear my radio, because I could not even hear my radio. And in those it's a stressful situation when they're not following the rules. And to have to enforce it, that's fine with me. I have no problem with that. This was just something I thought we could be proactive into reinforcing our rules for the bus driver, especially on these 2 routes where they are completely packed buses. And they are.
And you're
When
only
you've had
talking
to
minimal hours, right?
yeah, I was gonna say for a few hours a week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When you've had to remove them from the bus, do you find that it makes a difference?
no. A couple instances, yes, but generally, no. So it's reoccurring.
How long are they removed from the bus for?
Depending on what happened, tells that, but I've had severe ones, so that's been 5 days. And it's kindergartners, preschoolers, first graders, it's our little kids.
maybe it needs to be longer.
And in a lot of
I would
instances,
agree
like
with
she's
that.
mentioning, they're younger kids, and we know young kids are squirrely. They sit in school all day, they get on the bus and they can't sit still, they're standing up on seats, they're climbing on their neighbor. And like I don't know about, those of you that have kids and your experiences, but like driving my kids to point, like, turn your voice down, quit pinching your sister, keep your hands to yourself, like times that by 20, and you got a bus of 50 kids on there. And you can kick them off, but they're kids, and they need adults that can guide them and help prevent big issues from occurring.
I mean, I would say for the remainder of the school year to reinforce behaviors on those 2 routes, and then we can revisit it before school next year if we think we need it. for
If
next
it
year.
works, yeah.
And I do the things, I
Well, if it
pull
works,
the
you
videos,
shouldn't
I
need
call the
them.
parents,
Yeah,
I meet
but why
with
do
the
we have to
kids, I meet
babysit all
with the
the
school
time?
counselors to see, and I meet with Austin in the elementary, and we work together as a team, myself and the counselors, to set up a plan. And we've just not been seeing great results. So,
And what is a small situation turns into, there's a consequence, and the parent's unhappy, and then they want to meet, and then they want to watch the video, and then they disagree with what, their perspective, and,
Do you still strap them in the seatbelts and the seats?
they are supposed, the elementary, yes, they're supposed to be wearing their seatbelts.
No, the harness seat.
The 5-point harnesses,
Yeah.
no, we don't use those since we have seatbelts in our buses.
Maybe you should threaten them with those a few times.
Okay. I'd be more than happy to dig them out of the car and wipe them off.
I mean.
Yeah, it worked when I drove all the time, so.
Is there a motion for personnel?
I make a motion to approve personnel as presented.
I'll second it.
Been prompted by Jody, seconded by Dana to approve personnel as presented. Roll call.
Jody,
Yes.
Joe,
No.
Walt.
No.
Chris,
No.
Dylan,
No.
Dana,
Yes.
Craig.
No.
We need a new motion.
New motion, or it needs to come back next meeting, so.
I'll make a motion to approve personnel minus the approval of the new role of bus aide.
I'll second that.
Been properly moved by Joe, seconded by Chris to approve personnel as presented minus the approval of new bus aid. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call.
Jody,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Dylan,
Yes.
Dana,
No.
Craig.
Yes. Moving on to item 5, school transportation discussion.
Alright, Ms. Sheridan, jump in here, please, and if I have anything,
So Joe had asked me a question about why we didn't look into the propane buses. And looking into the infrastructure that we would have to build for fueling purposes and the training of drivers and also the availability to fuel those is why we did not when that grant came about. You would need to train all the bus drivers on hazmat to be able to fuel the buses. And honestly, there's nowhere close to us, one day one bus driver will need fuel, the next day the next bus driver. So we would have to either build an infrastructure and redo our whole fuel system in order to have that possibility. And then also train every driver on the proper use with propane.
Thanks for looking into it.
Yeah, no problem.
So you can tell us how electric buses are doing?
Yes, that's my next big long list, Craig. We have currently one electric bus here at Easton Valley that we are using for routes. We are letting them, Andrew use 2 of our other ones because Andrew has 3 routes, 1 LEAP, and we have 1 gas, 1 diesel bus up there, and the other 2 that were up there were electric, and those 2 buses have been put out of service by the state. The air compressor systems that they put on these buses they're not working properly. I cannot get a technician here from Lyon to fix those, so Chris and I discussed the options and fixing those for Andrew and getting our 2 EV buses back. Right now, only one of those buses is being used at Andrew because there was a critical battery failure on one. And the other one is being used for LEAP, and then currently we are using a Delwood diesel bus for our route up there. So in doing that, I am keeping track of every day that the Delwood bus is being used for route and also what our Easton Valley buses are being used for up there, and we will build them out at the end of the year.
So these buses had warranties from Lion, what are they saying about that?
A 1-year bumper to bumper warranty, and they are saying that they will not cover this because the maintenance on it was not done, but that is not true. So I am pushing that issue with Lion to get them to fix that.
And that's for which one?
That's what the.
And that's for the Andrew buses. Our Easton Valley buses, the critical battery failure, I have to wait for a tech to come out and run a system restart on all that. And they are down to 400 of their 700 employees were laid off, so 300 employees. My tech had 5 states with 4 technicians to go out and work on everybody. He now has 12 states with 2 techs. So I'm on a list, and when they get to me, they get to me. And that's how it works. I'm in communication with them daily. I am also communicating with the EPA on these things that are happening and not getting the service, so they're aware, and that we are a small school district and we need these buses on our routes.
For any of these issues, things that had come about earlier that we just set aside because people didn't wanna drive the buses anyway?
No,
They're all just their new issues and?
yeah,
Okay.
they're new. I mean, electric vehicles are new. And, you know, just like any other, the diesel buses break down and the gas buses break down. I have a diesel that blew a transmission. I have a gas bus in Delwood. You know, they all have issues. My diesel buses here all went up for service over Christmas break, and they're having issues after that service. So it's like they're wheels on the ground and they're motors and they have lots of pieces. So every single bus has things. All the EV buses, or the electric buses, I hate to call them EV buses because we're EV, but the electric buses, they're a whole new thing, a whole new animal for us to deal with. But I have no problem driving them, and I was not swayed very easily in that. So they ride nice, the kids love them, they're like, it smells great on here, but I'm like, that doesn't, you know. But they ride nice. The issues, it makes my job very complicated, dealing with them and making sure everybody has transportation. I have gotten up and gotten another bus and got kids really early in the morning from here to make sure everybody gets to school, so.
How's the bumper to bumper warranty work? I mean, since they can't get a tech to us, is the clock still ticking, or are they gonna stand
Clock's
behind
ticking.
that?
That is one of my questions to them, Chris. Yep, because our warranty is up at February 14th and 15th is when we received these buses last year. So our bumper to bumper is coming up February 2025, real quick, like in a month.
So if they don't get anything worked out, what's the next step? Are we sending them back and going back to lease buses?
I mean, if we've
Or
already
are you
notified
that on
them,
your list here?
Nope, it's on my list. It's on here too, Craig.
if we've notified them of the issue before the warranty ran out, I mean,
Yes.
this is
I
an
would
active
agree. I
issue,
would
this
agree.
isn't something that,
Yes.
oh, your warranty ran out even though
They
we never
shouldn't be-
addressed the problem.
Shouldn't be able to kick the can down
Right.
the road.
No.
Mhm.
It is a
So-
formal process that you have to complete. It's all a ticket system.
Yes.
It's all been submitted. And then
Yes, not user friendly, but yes,
Right.
and they are aware how that all works. We'll see, and I guess if we have to get a lawyer involved for us, we will. It was all funded by grant money,
Right,
so it's, you know, not out of the school's pocket right now, and I would like to keep it that way.
so
That is my ultimate goal.
the EPA is the one who issued the grants, right?
that's correct.
Yes.
So if these become, say, lemons,
Mhm.
are we already addressing that with the EPA
Yes.
and what that
She's reached out to
means?
them.
Yep,
Yes.
I'm addressing that with the EPA. I've already emailed Caitlin, and she has instructed me to email the government office in Washington with all of our issues and details details so they know, cause they wanna know.
And
They
then,
want to know what companies work and what companies do not work for these electric buses.
and then are we the owner of the assets, or is it just they're gonna take it back and that's it?
That I don't know.
Because
To
if
be
it's
determined.
our asset, then can we sell them to recoup something from
Right.
all of our efforts once they tell us it's over, or that, you know,
That might be a
release
question
us
we
from our
wanna ask.
obligation? Huh?
That might be a question we need to ask.
Definitely, definitely. I've also reached out to, Bluebird Bus, Hogland Bus, and Thomas for bids on gas or diesel buses and doing the RFP, what is it?
Request for proposal.
RFP,
You got it.
yes. So we have that in the proper way to submit to you guys too.
And these would be leases again, like we've done in the past.
Also, I'm looking into grants for the diesel and gas buses. In communication with other transportation directors, there are grants out there that I can look for. There may be a problem there because from learning from them, they always have to scrap one of their older buses in order to receive the grant. Just
We've
like,
already done that.
yes, just like we had to do with the 2 buses we owned, or 3. We scrapped 2 and we donated 1 to the Preston Fire Department.
I did wanna make sure that everyone also, I can't remember who was on the board when we had these conversations before, but there were other options explored. We went with the electric vehicle option because it was the one that was 100% funded. If I remember right, and Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but like propane was one consideration, but I believe it was 40% funded, if I remember that right. So.
And the money for infrastructure, if I remember right.
Yep.
You're on your own for that.
Not room for that, the bus was partially funded, so it would have been a significant amount out of pocket for us. And then also the projected savings were substantially lower for other options as well, so that's why we decided to explore this option. We also, had conversations and solicited bids from as many vendors as possible. We connected with all the, bus manufacturers and vendors that we work with in the state of Iowa. We narrowed it down to 2 that were, willing to, offer us solutions. Jason James, transportation director at the time, traveled to North Carolina. He toured the Thomas manufacturing plant for their electric vehicles. He also traveled to Joliet, Illinois to tour the Lion plant. Some of you might recall when he went to North Carolina, they got him on a bus to do a demo. It wouldn't start. They said, "Oh, sorry about this inconvenience, let's go to another bus. Let's try this one." Didn't start. Said, "Okay, we're gonna take an early lunch break, we'll come back after," and they were still having issues. So when he brought that back to us, he had a positive experience when he went to the Lion plant, and so he said, I would definitely recommend going with Lion. So that's kind of how we ended up with them. Like Amber said, all new equipment, transportation vehicles, they have issues. The main issue here is ultimately the financial situation for Lion. They reported, I think like millions and millions of dollars of debt in their third quarter this last year, and then they were having to respond to their creditors, and they started exploring bankruptcy, and that's when they did these layoffs. So had they remained financially viable and provided the tech support, then we probably wouldn't be having these conversations tonight, but it's their financial position that deteriorated their ability to service our vehicles when these minor issues that all vehicles have are occurring.
It does seem like there's a lot more issues with the electric
The
buses.
more you use them, the more issues that come up. The computer systems, there is a computer brain in them. I've learned a lot. The computer brain, when you're going down any kind of road, your vehicle shakes. So there's connections that come loose, and that has been one of the things that has caused a lot of problems in the beginning. They have monitoring systems that they can put on them so they can monitor them from a remote location. And we have put those on there for those situations, and then they walk me through on what to do, and then I train my drivers on how to do that. So, and all the drivers at Easton Valley and Andrew, except for 2, have been trained on electric buses and all the things that I've learned along the way and how to do it. And when I learn something new, I communicate that as well, so they're up to date on what's happening. They ride nice. They're nice and quiet. You can hear everything, but yeah, they don't like the cold.
So are there other schools in Iowa that took advantage of the grants? Cause I thought there were 10 school districts. if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there were a number of different districts. I don't know who else went with Lion. I think we
Okay.
might have been the only one that went with Lion.
So, okay.
And my main contact for service is out of Illinois. He lives in Springfield, Illinois. Any other questions about it? That's pretty much all I had on my list, you guys.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Easton Valley facility discussion.
Alright, I'm gonna bring up our greenhouse team to kind of speak to where they're at in the process and the project overall, and hope to answer any questions that might be lingering. And then I'll just touch on a couple brief things after they're done. So if you guys wanna introduce yourself?
I'm Chris Bowers.
Jesse Lawson.
I think Seth might have set me up tonight. So anyway, we've got the majority of the foundation poured. All of the underground plumbing is done. We've started assembling the greenhouse trusses at our shop. We brought the columns and base plates out today. So they'll start laying those out tomorrow. Seth will be back this weekend. He's bringing the semi back, and they'll be bringing the trusses over. If everything goes perfect, they'll be setting trusses early next week. So things will start looking a lot different over the next 2 weeks. After that, electrical's ready to go once we finish that. And concrete will be complete as soon as we get to warmer weather. Any questions?
I'll just add, we've been in contact with Klingner, Joe Knuckle. Matt and I spoke with him during the week. He mentioned that he was out over winter break. He was on site. He inspected the site. Said everything looked great from everything that he looked at and saw. We're just, we know that we're behind schedule where we wanted to be. But the reality is that if this crew, didn't take on the work, then we wouldn't be having any greenhouse put up. They gave a very competitive bid to help the school district and get this work done, and just extremely grateful for what they're doing for our kids and our school system.
I will say Klinger's been very good to work with. For the most part, been pretty responsive to questions. Grossman has been very good about identifying missing parts and getting them to us quickly. So we got quite a few of the truss pieces that were missing to us over Christmas. So they have been pretty good to work with.
What questions might you have about the greenhouse project?
Has the blueprints changed from the original one to now?
We did receive the IFC drawings in November. It was either 16th or 18th. But for the most part, no.
Adam, anything that you've been a part of conversations with any of our partners or things to add?
I think they hit on most of it. I mean, I know there's hiccups there with Gross saying through in some parts, but I know according to Chris and Seth, both they were responsive in getting parts back to you guys.
They got bad enough responding at school where they delivered them, so.
So, any construction project has hiccups. I mean, we've had ones that have been way more filled with hiccups than this, so, we'll get there.
I spoke with Mr. Eskildson today, and he said he's not worried about it, he's not losing any sleep over it, he's just grateful for the folks that are helping make this possible. Mr. Eskildson and Mrs. Schmidt and so many of our community partners, helped to raise a significant amount of funds to make this possible, and even those funds, were short of what was needed to get this up, and so it's just truly a collaboration among a lot of fundraisers, a lot of donors, a lot of people that are passionate about ag and experiences that our kids get in our schools, and as a result, we're gonna have a pretty neat piece of property and ability to support new learning opportunities for kids.
And it's being overseen by the engineering firm.
That's correct. Yes.
Do you two want to touch on some of the way that Seth, you guys sandblasted and repainted all the
We did.
inside metal?
All the base plates, column supports, were not very well done, so we sandblasted the paper, make sure they last, look nice.
Seth brought one out to the last meeting, Adam and I took a look at it with him afterwards, and, with some of the powder coating, the metal was already chipping off. You could take your thumbnail to it and just scrape it right off, and it's gonna be visible on the inside of the structure. If we don't do it the right way, it's going to rust, and so, they offered, rather than force around with grow span, they took it back and did that work on their end to make it nice for our district, so.
And this is a kit we purchased from a company as all, I mean, they just
Yes.
sending us everything we need. And
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
So think of it as if you've ever bought, you know, one of those little Chester drawers or little cabinet for your sink, you know, you open the instructions up and it's got a list of all the parts and everything you should have. So think of it as a huge one of those without the parts list.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Number 7, approve purchase of new tractor for school grounds.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of conversations about having the right equipment and things to meet the needs of our school grounds on both of our campuses. I mentioned in our last meeting that we were looking at some tractors. Rick Sullivan had solicited several bids from different area vendors. At the last meeting, Joe Kilberg volunteered to come in and bring his expertise and ask the right questions. So he, a couple weeks ago, he came in and sat down with Rick, Adam, and myself. We went through the different bids. Rick kind of talked about the needs that he saw, how the equipment was going to meet those needs. We talked about cost, different options, and making a recommendation to purchase a tractor from Kunos in Easton.
So the tractor we have now, we bought, what, 5 years ago?
We bought that in 2015.
Oh, was that long ago?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And it's still, I mean, we still use it for
It's strong.
Yeah, we
everything.
still utilize that too.
Yep.
So is this like plowing and everything, or?
Yes.
Yeah, come with a blade attachment, bucket attachment, I mean,
And
So we plow our own lots, we
Snowblower.
don't contract for
That's
this.
correct.
not in this quote.
And Jody, the one thing with that tractor, it's smaller than the one that we have. One thing with the big tractor,
The new
it's
one?
too big to
Okay.
use on like the baseball and softball fields. So that was with Rick being guidance from him, wanting something that was better for the baseball and softball fields, plus could be utilized for snow at high school because prior custodians were just using trucks.
Will leave
and
marks on the
getting
football
on
field.
sidewalks with trucks and ruining curbs and stuff, and yeah,
Okay.
so.
And we have like a, don't we have like a sidewalk snow blower covered thing? that
Over
we-
here we do.
Is that over here?
Yes.
Yeah, we just have a push
Yeah.
lower in Preston, that's all.
Okay.
Currently.
Alright.
Other than a blade on a truck, but we're trying to keep those off the walks and such.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the new tractor for school ground needs.
I'll second.
Been properly moved by Dylan, second by Chris to approve the new tractor for school needs per exhibit 4. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Discussion on school weapon detective system.
So just wanted to continue the discussion. Last month, we were able to show you kind of a demo. We had a company, I believe it was Apex, they came out, they brought some of the Evolve system equipment. Officer Gruber helped us to line all that up. We previously had some Zoom meetings and done some research, but he's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to talk to other school districts that have used these systems, look at different vendors that offer a similar product. Chad, can I have you jump in and just, you want to just give a brief overview of some of the work that you've got going on?
Yeah, so, right now, we're getting arranged to meet with Clinton. They have the system in their high school, so, I'd like to see see it in action. So we're kind of setting that up right now. And just looking at some different vendors that offer the same product. We'll give you guys some options when it's proposed. To see what else is out there, but the Apex system is a company that sells the Evolve system. They seem to be kind of the front runner right now. There's a lot of schools on board, a lot of arenas, other venues that are utilizing the Evolve system. You probably all walked through one and didn't even know it. So, you know, that's kind of where we're at. We just we're chugging ahead slowly. So,
So he's setting up that visit for he and I don't know if anybody else has accompanied us, but we want to go over and see it in action. Not even so much the equipment, but the procedures and the process. What kind of staffing is it requiring? How many false positives is it flagging? Does it slow down the flow of traffic into the school? Things like that. Other things as we continue the conversation last month, I brought up the idea, like, is this something that we're just considering for the high school, or is this something that we'd also consider for the elementary? Aside from, do you need one more in high school than in elementary? That's a question that we're gonna have to answer. But there are also other potential logistical issues. At the elementary, we do bring students in through some different doors. So, at the high school, it'd be pretty simple to implement because everybody's coming in and out of one door in the morning. And, we can place one system at that door, bring everybody through it in the morning and throughout the day. But when we have people that are coming in, like if we bring in kids, off the bus loop on the backside, well, I don't imagine that we want to invest, in a unit up front and a unit in back, and then having them at different doors and things like that. So there's some logistical things that we'll need to talk through. We're definitely interested in moving forward with a solution such as an Evolve system. We just want to make sure that we do our due diligence and our homework on what options are out there. Officer Gruber has helped to look at some other things, like there's integration into like camera systems that some schools use. The technology here is looking for metal density, looking for cylindrical shapes, and that's how the technology is flagging a potential weapon as it's coming in the door. But there's other technology out there that is integrated into your security camera system where it's just constantly monitoring and it's visually looking for something that would be in the shape of a weapon. And if it sees it, then the AI within the software identifies it, sets off an alarm. You can notifies the appropriate people, law enforcement, go into lockdown, all that. One of the drawbacks from that is by the time it's capturing it, your weapon is already in the school. Whereas with this kind of system, we're trying to keep weapons out of the school. And so I feel like it's a lot more proactive solution to deter anyone from bringing something and catch them before it walks through that door.
So that's just gonna be during school hours, is that gonna be during practice? You're gonna have someone there watching all the time?
Chad, we've had these conversations, you want to jump in?
I think to start, we'd be just looking at school hours. I think to move, it is mobile, but there's a process to reset it up and things like that you start moving around a lot and transporting. That can add some wear and tear on it. So probably the best scenario would be to try to keep it as in one place if it's possible.
So that's our primary interest, is utilizing it during the school day, but we also want to talk to other schools and see it in action, because they're using it for larger crowds of people that are coming into like a ball game or something like that. We did want to get your thoughts before we get too deep into it. Due to the cost, it would require an RFP, much like the pursuit of new buses, and so we want to make sure that we kind of have the specifications as accurate as possible when we put that out. If you give us the green light to continue to proceed, we could be prepared to have a potential bid back for recommendation for approval in February. But we have looked into the potential for having multiple units, one on each campus. There is some preferred pricing for the more units you purchase, so we can reduce the overall cost a little bit on the per unit side. But it would require us to get over the logistical part of getting everybody through a single door. I think it's doable in this building, but it would require some conversations with staff. It's pricey equipment, but in looking at the safety and security, the sense of security that it provides, I think well worth the investment up front.
Is there audio sound with it, or is it just you have to have someone there looking? I mean, like if you walk through with something and it goes off, does it alert you?
Both, yes,
Both,
it does.
okay.
Yep. So
Shows you where it's at on the person.
shows-
is why you
Right,
gotta have somebody
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
times where it's just, maybe you have practice or something like that, you know, if someone's in the area and hears the audio sound going off as kids are coming in, maybe you don't necessarily, I don't know, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have somebody stand there watching it, but if you hear it go off when they come in.
Yeah,
I
the unit
don't
that we demoed, it wasn't necessarily like an alarm, it was more like a light flashes, it's
Oh,
like ding, ding,
okay.
ding, ding, you know, kinda like a, you know, enter a door to a business, like there's an audible noise, but it's not like an alarm goes off or something.
So is there any movement in the legislature for funding? I know they've talked about it. Is there anything on this?
Not that
section?
I'm aware of for this technology specifically.
She had mentioned it last night.
I'm not speaking for the whole board here, but I'm in favor of looking at it, but when you bring it to us, I wanna know also how you're gonna prevent anything from coming into the schools after hours, when this is shut
Or
off.
even
or
early
whatever.
hours.
Or early
You
hours.
know, 6 a.m. weights practice, is somebody gonna be there to cause like you said, it gives you a sense of security, but is it real? I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warman's wasn't
It
feeling
doesn't
looking
take
at
much
it,
to
but
figure out how to get something around it, and now everybody thinks you're safe, but,
In reality, you're not.
I mean, it takes a game, you know, you're at the game at night, and we're not monitoring, and they all got lockers, I mean, I don't know, there's just, I don't know.
You feel this
worth
is the
looking
very
into.
best system, Chad, or is there other ones that you would think?
Right now, I mean, I'm not that far into, you know, this is a product that.
Well, right, you can't just say.
You can't just look it up online and find the price tag down at the bottom, figure out that demo.
Otherwise, this is just a waste of money.
Because every facility's different, so you kinda, you know, you reach out to those sales folks and they tailor what your facility needs. So there is a lot of kind of moving parts to getting that price tag. But, you know, again, the Evolve system seems to be kind of the front runner. But there are some other ones out there, so.
So when you go to visit Clinton, maybe that's a discussion of that plan for before or after school.
Yeah.
There are SROs, they don't have it if it's just at the high school, they don't have 5 or 6 of them, they don't move it around. It's there, and that's the only one they have right now. So. Ideally, it'd be nice to have one at every entry point, you know, especially extracurricular, you're talking.
Well, I think you're just all
Well,
coming in
money,
through
people,
one
staff.
entry point at that point.
which
Right.
is far here for any game. Unless somebody's letting you in.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonably feasible to implement, you know, during the school day, if you ever come to the high school, you know, if it's, you know, at the beginning of the day, you know, we have staff there greeting kids, so we already have adults standing there. We can train and appoint people that would be responsible for monitoring this, watching the screen, talking with kids if it were to go off or something like that. But once you get into like the evening, like, you know, either paying staff in the evening to be monitoring that, or, you know, we certainly wouldn't be putting volunteers, you know, it's hard enough to get ticket takers, much less, you know, someone pulling someone aside and, you know, wanding them down or something, so that'd be much more difficult.
Can't add that to the athletic booster list.
Yeah. We can, but we might not have any athletic boosters left.
So how does the AI camera system work? Is it detect concealed stuff?
Yes. Oh, no,
Or
no,
not? That's
no,
not,
no,
right?
the
It's just
security
shapes.
camera
Yeah.
just shapes, correct.
Because we looked at it at the IASB and it identified what gun it was once it was drawn. Is how they were.
But it has to have visual on it.
Right.
what it-
Which we kind of, we figured like, okay, at that point, like, it wouldn't take a security system to be able to, you know, anything, I mean, looking at whether it has the technology in the camera, looking at the camera, like, it
That's
wouldn't
what
take the
it's
technology and say, hey,
targeting
that's a gun.
lasers has
Yeah,
with it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
So
other than
maybe
that,
some
it'd be
people-
alert to the police department or
Yeah.
authorities or whoever.
So you want,
I guess I'd kinda like to know what you find out from Clinton,
Yeah.
the pros and the cons before we decide
Definitely.
anything.
Yeah.
You know.
or any other school that might have it that's close by.
Does Davenport have it? I would
Moline.
assume they do.
Moline does.
Yeah, I think they're the ones that are adding a bunch of units, they've had success with it. Yeah.
Maybe do a couple visits. like,
Yeah.
talk to a couple of them.
See what you learn from them and.
Yep.
and it might narrow down the debate, I think.
Moving on.
Or, I guess, this ain't, weapons detection system, but I guess in the high school, we got blackout curtains and everything, and every door in the elementary hasn't established that procedure yet. Is there a reason for that?
Mr. Daniels, Mr. Cruzy.
Blackout curtain.
Well, I think they got safety blackout curtains in every case of an intruder, they can shut off all the glass to all the windows, and
Oh.
the elementary doesn't. And I guess that was brought up to me by a handful of teachers
Yeah.
He
today.
can speak of that during his report.
Okay.
Give him some time to come up with it.
That works.
Appoint Jackson, Clinton County Conference Board Representative.
So I think Dana's been serving in that capacity, as I spoke to her briefly today, and she's willing to continue in that role. Unless anyone else,
I did the Clinton County. You must do Jackson County?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wondered who did
I
Clinton
did
County.
Clinton County.
okay, perfect.
I'd be happy to continue.
You like it?
It's too many a
Interesting.
year.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a little
It's
bit
interesting.
interesting. I
It
will
is
say, it
interesting.
is kinda interesting. I
They
don't
give
mind.
themselves good raises, don't they?
Yes,
They
they
do
do.
give themselves
We
nice
just went
raises,
over
yes,
that.
yeah.
They get
It's
good-
eye-opening if nothing else,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I wanna give
No,
myself my own raise over.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice, yeah. No, I'll do Clinton County if nobody else wants it.
Is there a motion for that then?
I'll make a motion to assign Chris and Dana to Clinton and Jackson County Conference Boards.
Second.
Been properly moved by Jody, second by Dylan to appoint Dana for Jackson County and Clinton, and Chris for Clinton County Conference Boards Representatives. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Approve modified supplement amount at risk dropout. I'm assuming that's you, Adam.
Yeah, this is just annual, asking for modified allowable growth for dropout prevention funding. It's funding that is set forth by the state. It's the DD spending authority, it's property tax back for the funding. The funds provide assistance for our high schoolers and our elementary students that are identified at risk for, potential dropouts. And it's the funding for those kids that need extra help that aren't, special education students. So this year's amount's $208,015.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve modified supplemental amount for at-risk and dropout.
I'll second.
Been properly moved by Joe, second by Jody to approve modified allowable growth request, dropout prevention in the amount of $208,015. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Potential approval of ending softball sharing resolution and restate EV team.
Yeah, so excited to make the recommendation tonight to reinstate our Easton Valley softball team. The plan with that will be for us to play varsity softball beginning this year. Pending approval tonight, we will be posting to hire a coach. Spoke with Mr. Irvin on several occasions, and he's been in contact with Marquette. Marquette and Bellevue have been having conversations. This week, Bellevue approved the plan to partner with Marquette because they are still short numbers. But Mr. Irwin is confident that we have the numbers that we need. In his most recent meeting with students, he had 16 girls express strong interest. He said, and that's kind of on the lower side. He said if any dropped out, if it was more than 2, he'd be shocked. But he said he also knows of at least 3 or 4 more. He said he'd be much more. It'd be much more likely that he sees 3 or 4 more jump on than any drop off. So with those numbers, he felt real strong in the opportunities we can provide the girls this year. The plan would be to play a full varsity schedule. We'd also be pursuing a JV schedule to get the girls more reps, more opportunities. We're going to have a pretty young team. You know, we have a core group of girls that have stuck with it. Upperclassmen that would come and be a strong part of this program. But we also have some pretty solid numbers in our current 8th grade group and our freshman group. He was very confident in our ability to field the team and just start building that program as we've been trying to do for several years. Any fundraising or anything like that, he's working with Marquette to make sure that any fundraising that was done while it was a joint program, that we get our fair share of that. He's also talking with our activity director, any equipment. I think it mostly comes down to bats, just making sure everything that was purchased is coming back to us if it was using EV funds. We already have uniforms and things like that. I think they've only been more than 1 season, so we felt like we've got all of the stuff there. But we also have some money, I believe, in our softball account to get things started, but he'll make sure that they're continuing to fundraise to meet the needs of that program. what questions do you have for me about that?
Was there fundraising between Bellevue Marquette and Easton Valley, and there's money left that should be split too?
Yep, that's what I read.
Yeah.
Correct, yep.
So to be clear on
That's correct.
that. And has Bellevue Marquette called and told us that?
Yes. Yep, make sure. So if they're aware of that, we wanted to make sure that we had the green light from them before we made that recommendation tonight, and we received that yesterday.
I guess in the long run, it's good that we were a bridge between Bellevue and Marquette's disagreement until they got back together again.
And this only pertains to, you know, softball.
Right.
You know, class sharing and everything is a whole nother thing,
Yeah.
and will continue as is.
I'll make a motion to reinstate the Easton Valley softball team.
Second.
Been properly moved by Chris, seconded by Dylan to approve the ending softball sharing resolution and to reinstate the EV softball team. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Administration reports, Austin.
Well, it's a little shorter this week, since we've only had a couple of weeks of school with the winter break, so. I didn't have this on my list, but you guys probably noticed, Cliff's already started, last time you guys approved those cabinets. Cliff started, especially with that wall, he's gonna have to put some extra supports or something to make sure they're sturdy, but, yeah, we kinda got that in the works already, so that when those covers come in the next week or two, we're ready to get them up, so. First thing I had listed this week, guys, was our core values activity I've talked about kind of continually, each of our meetings we've came to. We do have that whole process finished up. Our Lighthouse team got together and finalized those summaries that all staff had given back. I'm not gonna read, I do have them pasted, but I'm not gonna read them to you today. I'll read them next meeting, purely because our staff hasn't went over them yet. We did order posters that are about yay big with those core value summaries for each staff in each room. Next Wednesday during PD, we're gonna do a little word sort activity I've put together to kind of match up the definitions, and then have a conversation about it. So that process has been finished up, so stay tuned, we can go over that next meeting. Next thing I had listed was our letters, Unit 2, face-to-face data dealt with. You guys are well aware of our Wednesday professional development. Complementing our new CKLA curriculum is letters training. And long story short, we had 2 in-person dates. The second one was that first day back from winter break. Alyssa Schrader from the ADA was our trainer. So long story short, we started Unit 2, which is called the Speech Sounds of English, which was kind of like over consonants and vowel learning, and there was a chart with articulation to help teachers understand like how students do learn pronunciation and language, essentially. So. Long story short, that I put down kind of aligning with our goal of literacy improvement has been something that we've talked about continually and saw like looking at our data a couple months ago improving that. So we started Unit 2 actually today with teachers. Our PD is roughly every other week, so like twice a month we have dedicated to doing a couple sessions of letters depending on how long each session takes. Then the off months we'll either have like grade level team meetings, action teams with the leader and me, but we started Unit 2 today. So. The next couple I know you guys always like to hear both the goods and areas we're working to improve. I have Apogee Rooms training with Jeff. So you guys had approved that district communication rooms app. I did have Jeff kind of volunteered, or I asked him and he said, of course. I think technically he's done it like 2 or 2:30, but he has agreed to stay late on a few different occasions to help support staff with that implementation. As with everything new, there's learning curves and some bugs to work out and things like that. So Jeff stayed and helped during our all-staff meeting on January 8th. Basically, we had from 2:45 to 3:30. He was there to basically help staff get classes published, answer questions, work through what they want, so he can really tailor it. So long story short, what our elementary decided was they wanted more of like grade level rather than you can do it by like each trimester because it connects with our JMC. So he's been working through some of those bugs of not only like pushing it out to families and cleaning that up to make sure they have it, but also consolidating our teachers' classes so it's as user-friendly and simple as humanly possible, if that makes sense. So that's a little bit of the curve we've been working through. Then I did ask Jeff, I said, hey, this was really helpful, thank you. I'm sure there will continue to be questions, so would you be willing to follow up in another PD And he said absolutely. So we looked at maybe January 22nd. He was looking to see if he could make that work, but he was hoping to stay late again because we had said kind of in February was the point where we're in a little bit of that gray area now where we got a couple different communications, still using Dojo as we implement this new, but then we had kind of agreed upon February moving to rooms and getting families in. So again, just trying to work out those bugs while teachers are implementing and learning, trying to keep bringing that support in to clean up whatever we can as best we can. So
have you rolled it out to your parents yet, or are you still working internally to make the framework for you?
So Jeff pushed that out Tuesday.
Okay, so I got it for high school, I didn't know if elementary was all in the same.
Yep. So Jeff was supposed to be pushing all that out, and he's been working with, I don't want to speak to him and what he's been doing, but I know he's been working with rooms and the trainer to get that all sent out.
Do you know what kind of uptake you've had as far as parents setting up their accounts and seeing the communication and understanding what action they need to take?
Yeah, I can't give you exact
Okay.
data on that. I know some parents are getting in. I had a couple families just reach out with like bugs, like, hey, I could get in here, but I couldn't get in here.
Mhm.
So to be honest with you, Jody, I've been pushing that to Jeff and saying, hey, Jeff, can you help troubleshoot? Here's what we got going. He's been really responsive, so. Good on that?
Yep.
Cool. Next one, you guys were talking a little bit about safety stuff there a little bit ago. Monday, the 13th, would have been this Monday, we did a hard lockdown drill. So at the beginning of the year, we met with our safety committee. That was people that were on the same committee last year, I believe. Kind of came in and established a progression for teaching students safety drills, essentially. Towards the beginning of the year, our first step was doing a soft lockdown. So just basically lock down the perimeters, business as usual in the building.
So the kids aren't aware of those?
They are.
They are.
Yep. So that first drill was less like we didn't push out to the community, but we told kids, hey, we're just gonna be practicing a soft lockdown. And I took these terminologies, like Mr. Cruz had shared with me some of the stuff they did in high school. We then tried to correlate it into the elementary. On Monday, we did the second step, so a hard lockdown. So I had pushed out through JMC to families last Friday, just saying, hey, we're gonna have a hard lockdown drill. There is no active threat or anything like that. It's just our second step of teaching for your students. Hopefully we never have to use it, but if we do, we've kind of taught it. So some of the learning for me and what we settled on in that safety committee was I created a Loom video. So essentially I made a safety slideshow that went through myself in a video teaching. That teachers then were asked to kind of pull that up at 8:30, go through the video, and then they could pause at any point after any slide. And it was over run, hide, fight. So it's as simple as first step is run if you can get away. Second step is hide and lock down, which would have been the hard lockdown drill we simulated. And then fight is your last resort. So long story short, teachers played that. Some of the things I've learned in retrospect that'll be good. My original plan was to come back to next week's all staff meeting and say, hey, let's get some feedback. How did it go? We just kind of walked and checked doors to make sure things were locked, and yep, that's good. We didn't necessarily unlock and go in and check each room. But long story short, Destiny Kilberg actually is on the safety committee. She asked, I think this morning actually, like, hey, it might be beneficial while it's fresh in people's minds to send out some kind of a document with their thoughts down. And reading through that today, some of the things that came out were, and I notice in retrospect going around rooms, we have some emergency take action posters teachers are already familiar with. So one of the things we're gonna do is come back to that all staff meeting and say, hey, I appreciate the feedback. Let's talk through like, what is the language you're accustomed to? What do we need to connect and correlate? If that makes sense. So it was good. The concept and learning was definitely there, but maybe some things that we can clean up. So if anything ever did happen, we know exactly how everyone's responding and what those terms are. So, and then my last thing for the week was just simply Jackson County Conservation presentations. They've agreed to come 3 times a year. They came, I think it was in November, but this Friday, the 17th, they're coming for their second round of presentations. They have 2 presenters coming. In kindergarten, settled on learning winter coat is the name of the lesson. First grade's learning about wolves. Second grade insects. Third grade is doing a nature did it first lesson. Fourth grade's lesson is better to eat with. Fifth is groundwater models. And then 6th grade said, Jackson County, you guys can pick whatever the best and most interesting lesson is. So just some kind of cool stuff getting other local partners to come in. So, questions on any of that, guys?
Unless Chris is going over, you wanna tell us where the picture came from?
I'll hit that in just a minute.
Were you gonna mention the blackout curtains or extra safety stuff? Or why we don't have it in the elementary versus high school?
I was never part of the conversations when those transpired, so
I
Mr.
can help
Cruzy.
with
Okay.
how ours got there. and
Okay,
how we-
perfect.
We can get them caught up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Davis.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Perfect, that's fine.
So with Performing Arts Spring, musical trials are gonna take place very soon, either probably within the next week, or so. I haven't heard the exact date yet, but it should be within the next week. We had 7 kids participate in honor band, this past Monday, so the instructors brought them up there and said it was a great experience to see them play, with other members of other schools. With our ag department, our kids placed second at the Iowa Beef Extravaganza in December. Each team member there earned a $1,300 scholarship. FFA season starting, we're gonna host the first round of FFA contest, and that date is February 17th. So we'll host that in the high school over there. Welding shop is constructing tables at the moment in their classes. They're working on ordering flowers for the greenhouse right now. Also, they had 17 FFA members weigh in over 50 steers for the county and state fair recently. Art projects, Ms. Larson is started with brainstorming some things to add some additional murals and quotes and things to the walls in our weight room. So our 3 and 4 kids are involved in that, and Ms. Larson was designing what those things are gonna look like. She kind of ran some things by Mr. Irwin and myself, and just to make that area continue to upgrade with things. We've done a lot of work in there, and it looks really nice in there. But that'll add a little bit more pop to the walls that are coming along in there. Athletics wise, boys junior high basketball begin games next week. They're on the second week of practice now. I believe they start up at Thursday. I believe next Thursday is their first game of that. Varsity boys basketball is currently 5th in the Tri-Rivers East. They're 2-4 in the conference, 2-9 overall. Varsity girls are 3rd in the Tri-Rivers East, 4-2 in the conference, 5-5 overall. Boys and girls travel to Cal Wheat Friday, and then we have Manny's shootout at West Carroll on Saturday morning at 9 and 10:30. So the girls and the guys play there on Saturday morning. Again, lots of fundraisers always going on throughout the winter at every event that you kind of go to. We're reminding everyone too that those fundraisers need to come through Mr. Fee and myself so we can present to you guys, because I think that's kind of got lost in the last few years, and people have just thrown out fundraisers and just do them without us knowing anything about it. So we want to try to stop the overload that sometimes we get with either similar things or too many going on at the same time, especially in small communities. So we're getting that word out to everyone as well as we go forward with that. Again, just thanks to Rick and Larry and Gail for their efforts all winter, all that salt being dragged into the hallways and stuff. And there is a constant attempt to keep it clean, but they're doing a good job of keeping up on that. If you were at the ball games last night, you probably froze there. It was very, very cold. So, we talked to Rick there, and we're gonna get that fixed. I don't know why it was set.
It's really hot in the concession stand, so you don't put
I bet, yeah, and it's always a little bit cool in there, which is okay, but this was excessively cold last night.
I did hear that.
There were winter coats and blankets and frozen toes, and it was not a fun place to sit and watch last night.
That might get some more volunteers though.
That could.
You want some heat, you gotta work the heat.
Our full day professional development day was January 3rd, again, the first day back after break. In junior high and high school, we did about an hour and a half or so of a book study that we continue to do throughout the year. Our split team led discussions on the DNF grades and the whys behind that. They followed up with then having all the teachers kind of submit and look through their list of what kids earned those grades, and then the reasons that they feel were behind some of those things too, so we can get some specifics. Then this past week, our split team followed up with our teachers at their staff meeting about implementing some more things on Fridays when they sign up for our SOAR activities. To go along with that, they need to be meeting individually with every kid and going through their grades and their assignments and stuff, so we can kind of catch some of those things beforehand. We continue to run after school programming on Wednesdays. for kids, that teachers sign the kids up for them if they're missing assignments and things, and it's their weekly push to be able to get those things done. So parents are called, said their student's not done with this work, they're expected to stay after school on Friday until that work is finished. It really speeds up the process of the kids getting things accomplished. And most of them get it done before they end up having to stay, but it is that good push for them to be able to do that. Coming up next week, we're gonna discuss setting some standards as far as what retakes look like for tests and assignments in our classes, so we can have some consistency across the board. And you know, as far as my end goes, of retakes, I think it's a decent thing, but we have to show effort put forth to earn that retake again. They can't just continually retake with not doing anything. We want to try to say, okay, what are we putting in place? Do they have to redo some assignments? Do they have to attend a study session? What do they have to do before they can get back and try to retake something? And then how much credit is that worth? Is it worth the full percentage, which I'm not in favor of, or is it worth, you know, a tiered down percentage of what they got? But it varies all over different schools, what they have. But we want just some consistency in our school between all the subject areas, so kids and parents kind of know what to expect there. So that discussion is going to start next week with our staff there. Master scheduling build for next year has started, so that'll be again a slow process, but the goal again for that is to have all the kids walk out of school with a schedule by the time they're done with fourth quarter. There's no reason why that can't happen, and that's what I want to see happen for our kids and our staff as well. No other policy changes or additions in those things, just another reminder that we're taking a look at economics class and personal finance and schoolwork readiness and some of the overlap that happened there. So that'll be coming soon. Blackout curtains, how all that kind of came about. It basically came up with one, there is a need to block that out when we have any kind of drill or whatever in there. Then the next phase was when I started walking around, then you get all this randomness of teachers that are taping up either construction paper, posters, whatever else, and then it becomes permanent blockages of the windows, which doesn't allow you to see in any classroom when you're walking by at all. And I don't like that either, because you like to be able to see what's going on in classes as you're looking at those things. So I did a little research on, what kind of things are available and stuff. Had a company send me a sample of what it would be. Ended up, Abby Felke, actually one of my student workers in the office, had her go around and measure every window that we had throughout the school, and then put a quote together, did it, they sent them in, and she actually installed them all. It's strong adhesive, it works. What it is just sets above, if you get, I don't know what this, there's no window there, but a lot of our windows and our doors will be like rectangular shaped and skinny. In ours, they just attach up here, and it's got a Velcro piece, and you just undo the piece and it rolls down. It's weighted at the bottom, so it lays nice against the window. When they're not in use, you just roll them up, hook them with that, so it's very quick, very efficient, and they look nice, and they're uniform across everything. So it's something that we've probably had up now. I think it probably got put up a little bit before Christmas, so maybe a month and a half, 2 months, so it's fairly recent in there. It's something that we can easily share with the elementary. We were uncertain whether, how it would go and what that would look like there, but I've been really happy with it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it until last board meeting, and then somebody mentioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they did have stuff hanging from their windows, and it looks clean, and it's not. Yeah.
That was a huge thing that I like too, because it looks nice and not just some randomness that's up all over the place, and it's everywhere. We got them in the gym. We have them in all the other classrooms and stuff too. So that's something that I'll share with Austin, and we can help them figure that out, and custodians or whoever can do those measurements, and we can get them all hooked up with that stuff too. So it was very clean. When you start getting bigger, odd windows, you have to have lots of different special orders and that stuff. So I can work with Cliff and anybody else and try to help guide that process for you and get that done. Or we'll send Abby over here for a day. I don't know how much you want to trust that.
Yeah, and that's good. Me and Mr. Gruber actually set a date to kind of go over and go through some of the feedback and comments and things like that. We actually have different windows here. Is one of the things we've already talked about, like our K through 3 wing and our 4 through 6 wing have a different look. K through 3 wing's got kind of like that side window with the bigger part that we talked about. Some teachers have it covered, some teachers don't. We need to bring uniformity. And then the 4 through 6 just kind of has that little rectangular in the door. So yeah, those are good things that's why drills are good, is yeah, you want them to go perfectly smoothly, but you also find the bugs of, here's what we need to do better and improve on, so. Thank you.
I'd seen something similar, at Northeast, cause I had to go up there last year a lot and visit with Jen as a mentorship thing that the state set up. It's not who I chose, that's just who it gave me. But I saw something a little similar to that up there, not exactly the same company, but that's kinda what got the idea going, but we'll get it shared down here and get those things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, so just excited to present this to you all. Share this image. This is a framed picture of the old Miles School, over 100 years ago, I believe. And this was donated to us by the Kunow family. So Dick Kunow contacted me over a month ago, and then dropped us off after winter break. He said this was in his brother's home, and they were looking for a new place for it and wondered if we would have a spot in the school. So I told them absolutely we would. What a great piece of history. So those of you that have been around, there's probably most people in the room probably recognize that old building that used to stand kind of right where we're at now. One of the neatest parts about this whole thing, though, is that not only did he give us the picture, but he also gave me a listing of over 90% of the individuals that are in the picture. So there's their old superintendent over here, all their teachers at the time, all their students. He was able to show me where his mother and father were at. They attended school here at that time, but I'd like to get this hung up in our school. I'd like to make this available for anybody that wants to pick through, find old family members. If you look through the list, you see a lot of familiar names, even some names that are here in the room tonight. But just really, really neat piece of history. And also thought it was really cool, the home across the street is still standing today as well. So you kind of get a frame of reference as to where the kids were when that picture was taken. But just thought that was really neat. I did speak with Mr. Daniels earlier this week or late last week. I came out to kind of take a look at where it might go. My recommendation in the office, right across kind of from where Peggy sits, there's a nice large wall. There's currently a framed photo up there of, I'm not exactly sure what the significance is, if it's just looks nice on the wall or if there's some special commemorative thing. So we'll inquire about that. If nobody has any reason to not relocate that and put this up there, I just thought it'd be nice to have that there. It'd be safe in the office, but then we could also have Peggy hang onto a list of these for anybody while they're waiting for their kid or something. They can pick through and just take a look and connect with history of our school district. So yeah,
That's nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very nicely framed, and much appreciation for the Kunow family for that donation. All right.
Whatever happened to the class, like, we had the flip thing of all the classes, is that here?
I believe, is that in the bus garage currently, Amber?
Preston is in the bus garage and East Centrals are in the trailer containers out behind.
We still have those.
Still have a lot of old photos.
You can put them on a screen now and swipe through.
Yeah, the kids like, I mean, I don't know,
Kids like to
like
play
flipping
with
through
them.
looking for their parents and grandparents. I don't know.
So we are preparing an RFP, potentially pursue a lease or purchase of a new bus. Also looked into something that you all mentioned to me at the last board meeting, potential of a student representative on the school board. I did do some research and just looked for the districts throughout the state that have something like that. I shared an example with you all of kind of what their process and procedures look like. I also connected with Tammy Drawbaugh, our area representative for the School Board Association, about this possibility. She shared a guiding document with me that I passed on to all of you. Just had a lot of guiding questions, like, what's the purpose, how would they be utilized, what would be the training, how are we going to mentor them, just a lot of things to call the attention to, like references like adults, kids would definitely need, training on, Robert's Rules of Order and the legality of a lot of the things that go on at the board table. But she shared something with me that resonated with me. She said, Chris, one thing that I also see a lot in schools that don't have a student rep on their board is they utilize their student council. to kind of serve, because she asked like, why do you want one? And I said, you know, just to connect with the student body a little bit more, to be more aware of what's happening at their level, how they're experiencing things. And she said a lot of schools lean on their student council. And when she said that, I thought, you know, that's a really great idea, because it's a structure we already have in place. And quite honestly, I think that our student council is probably underutilized. If we gave them more purpose by asking them to come to the board table, it could be monthly, but more reasonably, it could be like quarterly or something like that. And having, you know, a junior and a senior class president that's part of student council come and share updates related to the events going on, or if the board wanted feedback as far as how policies and procedures were affecting them, they'd just be a great sounding board to, you know, get information from that level to the decision makers that sit around this table. Tammy also connected me with some other superintendents in our area. Muscatine has one, so she said, I know the superintendent on there. She encouraged me to reach out to Clint if we wanted to get his example of their procedures, if we wanted to go that route. But when she started talking about student council, I thought that it'd be an easier in, and if beyond that we wanted to do something more formal, we could pursue it. But my recommendation would be to tap into that. I wanted to get your any thoughts as far as going that route. I'll look into that. I'll talk to our staff leaders who help to facilitate that and talk about what that could look like. All right. And then I did pass around a little flyer. Hopefully it made it all the way around. There is a Day on the Hill legislative event that's sponsored by the School Board Association. So if any of you wanted to be a part of that, it's the opportunity to go out to the Capitol, sit down with an advocate that kind of shares what the topics the School Board Association are pushing as far as legislation, and then gives you the opportunity to get into the Capitol, connect with local legislators, share issues that are affecting us. And I recently, we've started doing that a little bit different at our AEA level. We've been trying to get out there earlier before the legislative session starts, so I've been part of that work with our AEA superintendent group. So we haven't been going out at this time, but if any of you are interested, you know, let me know and we can try to coordinate something and see what that could look like. That's all I have for you.
Can you give us an update when we're gonna do the gym floors?
Yep, gym floors will get done this summer. Yep,
Okay.
we talked with Rick. He's done it before. He has the expertise and the ability, the equipment. He knows how to do it. So he'll be refinishing the gym floors over the summer months. And then also, I meant to tack this on earlier with our facility stuff. We do have a facility advisory group meeting coming up February 12th. Our architect firm is finalizing a draft master plan proposal. Adam and I are going to talk with them a little bit tomorrow to get them some more details on financial stuff and things like that. But they're preparing to bring our advisory group on February 12th a draft of a plan to get their feedback and come back to the board in the near future.
Have we installed anything for the communication system to?
Nope, none of that is in yet.
Okay.
Nope.
Or the ID scanner.
It's been delivered. Are you talking about the Raptor system, the
Right,
digital
which
management
yeah.
system? Yes, I believe we've received the equipment, but it's not up and running yet. Mr.
Yeah,
Williams?
we get it back probably, I don't know, early to mid last week. I got it in my office while Jeff's been working through some of the other things he's working on. But I told Jeff, hey, we got it, and he said, yep, thanks for letting me know, so.
Public forum? Richard?
Several ongoing district concerns exist. The community-funded greenhouse project has been mismanaged. It is far beyond schedule and not compliant with original blueprints. Taxpayer inquiries under the Freedom of Information Act are being ignored and violated, which requires responses within 10 business days. Transparency and accountability must improve to rebuild trust. Easton Valley resources are being misused by allowing Andrew Community School District buses to charge using EV taxpayer-funded electricity without board approval. This is misappropriation of taxpayer funds. Concerning the last meeting, when Amanda Sullivan's comment suggested it is acceptable to search students without two adults of the same sex as the student, This contradicts Iowa Code, Board Policy EB Handbook, which protect both students and staff. Despite the board explicitly not approving the high school principal to coach, he is coaching the high school girls basketball team, disregarding board decision undermining governance, which was based on prior issues with principals coaching teams. Significant matters like the inability to use purchase electric buses and discussions about metal detectors were addressed during superintendent updates instead of being proper agenda items. This undermines transparency. Based on this ongoing poor management and disregard for policies and transparency, I call for the immediate resignation of the superintendent and the board to allow the district to course correct and provide the leadership our community deserves.
Rhonda?
The adult ID system, I know that was virtually, that was a grant, that was virtually free. Will that be used during game times? I mean, obviously, so it'll just be during daytime hours.
It's to get into the office, correct?
Okay. So when we talk about the weapon detection system, I think that is something very important. Can that be shut off during nighttime games? Is that something that's on all the time? I mean, I think that's very important for our school. When you think of school shootings, not that it can't happen during game time, but when you look at school shootings, you're hearing about school shootings, it's during school time hours, is when a lot of this is going on. For the safety of our students, the safety of our teachers, having that in place, no matter what kind of detection it is. And I know it all takes time, but I feel that's a very important thing that we need to be looking at putting in our schools. So for the adult ID screening, if you don't have your ID with you, can you still get into school, or how does that work? And that's a question you can follow up with me after the meeting. Electric buses, we've had them since February 24. How come they weren't put on the road right away? We're still encountering problems with them, working our way through that. It's been almost a year now since we've had them. And I know with that year bumper to bumper, we're encountering that now, where if we've had them for a year, how come they weren't utilized right away? Thank you.
Carissa?
Hi, my name's Carissa Marks. I'm the BD teacher at the high school, and I just wanted to formally invite every single board member to my classroom all day on A and B days. Thank you.
Nicole?
Hi, I'm Nicole Kelly, special ed teacher of the unique and amazing program level 2-3 at the middle high school. And I would like to do my yearly invite to you guys to come in and visit at the middle high school, to visit not only my room, but any room at the high school. So you can see our amazing teachers doing such a wonderful job over there, and to experience a day in the life of a teacher. That's it.
Nick?
I don't really have anything.
Okay. Board report request? Okay, moving on to that next board meeting date.
That sounds correct. Wednesday, February 19th, 6 p.m. in the junior high school.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Probably moved by Jody, seconded by Joe to have the next board meeting at February 19th at 6 o'clock. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is a motion to adjourn.
Can I say one more thing before you do? The next board meeting is gonna be after this date. I wanna make sure everybody knew this. So on February 13th, the Day at the Hill thing that you guys were talking about earlier, their school months earlier than that. There's a student, one with Day of the Hill, and Riley Gillen, one of our high school students, has been chosen one of 4 people to talk at the Hill on that day, as far as vaping and the dangers of that and stuff. So she is gonna do a great job down there, but it'd be a big honor for Riley to lead us. So that's the 13th.
Thanks.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved by Joe, second by Chris, adjourn the meeting, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Motion, meeting adjourned.